Good morning, AMOC. And this is AMOC PI Radio. Well, not really radio, but anyways. Fancy morning greetings aside. It's PI Day, and it is Sunday morning, and it is very early in the morning. Got up a little early today, and we have to empty the Planetary Interaction factories, the P1 level factories on 8 characters, I think, today. And one of them is in a remote location because that one hasn't been moved. And we'll do that last. And that's going to involve packing a jump freighter with a couple necessary items to make doing that trip easy to do. So this character is not in the system that he needs to be in, but we can still reset the programs. So these current factories, I thought I reset these, but apparently this has 4 hours left to depletion, so perfect time, right? Or good enough. So stop right here. It's at or above 2 million on this planet doing this resource. Yeah, some of the nodes have shifted, so we'll just adjust them a little bit. Get a little bit over here, a little bit over there. We'll try and iron out the high peaks, or balance out the high peaks, rather. There, we got another extra 100 and something thousand. We'll take one of these from over on that side and put it over here. So now we get 17,000 on cycle 95, 15 on 96. Can we do better? That's worse. That is worse as well. That's cycle 82, got 20,000 still. 15,000, not as good as I had before, but that's still pretty good. And we're still making 43,000 an hour, which is going to keep us ahead of the processing or raw material requirements for 5 factories. And this is still over 2.1 million, raw units supplied for processing in 2 days, or 49.5 hours, 2 days, 1 hour, 30 minutes. Right, so that's good. We're just going to reset these, and then we're going to go show everybody how easy it is to manage a factory with 2-day cycles. Oh, it's so hard to do 2-day cycles. Just misunderstanding how 2-day cycles work. So here, this is a good example of what I had to do or I did wrong with this factory. Is that this resource node fortunately spawned here, and when I set this factory up, I think it was probably maybe a week ago or so, I placed all of my extractor heads on the same resource node, and look at the size difference. It's depleted. Like here's another good one up here, right? So we're gonna move some of these, right? Because it's still close to 2.1 million, but I don't want to totally deplete this resource node. So we're gonna let it replenish, like significantly, and I think 5 is still being a little too greedy on that resource node. So we're going to take a yellow. Is this all the way up here? Yeah, that could go up there a little more. 2.1. Try and balance the peaks. Go a bit out into no man's land, and look at that. We're still at 17,000 on cycle 95, which is good. The idea here is to keep these processors always running. If you're waiting for them to process, you're wasting processing time. And that's just inefficient. You'll always have either not enough resources by not providing enough, or by not providing enough near the end of your cycle program, over the total amount being accumulated exceeding the amount that will be required to keep these running for 2 days. There we go. So that one's done. And here's our gas planet. The gas planet, large radius. Typically you're not going to get all your processors on these, but still you should be able to keep up with 7 processors, which is an odd number and can be a bit of a nuisance to manage because the outputs aren't balanced between the 2 output spaceports. But we're doing reactive gas to oxidizing compounds on this one. And this is a pretty good spot, all things considered, right? Because it's between 2 spots, and they're fairly close together. And one of them's fairly considerable size. So this planet's got, maybe a couple of those, right? So you could see why I chose this spot as opposed to some other ones. Maybe this one would have been good too, but some people have a lazy mentality and they'll just go for like the first place on the planet. Right here, I'll exit the planet. Oh, what's here? Let's scan for reactive gas. I guess I was lazy this time because it was a good spot, but generally look around. Some people would see this and go, "Wow, man, that's awesome." It's not. That depletes your fuck. You rebuild your factory, right? So 4 hours left. That the extra 1 hour and 30 minutes always seems to give me some latitude to reset these in advance, either 6 hours in advance, because when you're getting down to 12,000 at the end of the program, and here we are, look at this. I transferred 3,700 oxidizing compound from one of these that was imbalanced, I think last night, but still, we've still got 11,000 reactive gas left in all of these, or left in the input buffer storage, and it's what, 48 hours, 46 hours, something like that down the road, and these are still running. They're all fully supplied, and it's still running. And this is why you don't bother with anything else but 48 hour, 49 hour extractor control programs with PI, because you're just wasting your time. It's inefficient. So here we're at reactive gas. We've got to pick the program again because we clicked on it and closed it, and not going to change anything with this one. It's still pretty good. Like 4 heads will not significantly hurt the yield on this, and this one might, but I don't want to. I want to deplete this one more than this one. So if I have to move an extractor head to this other node at some point in time, then it will be from here to try and avoid depleting this resource node. So we're going to submit that, and that's our gas planet, Oceanic planet. Now I think this planet has been amazing. This is a really good planet. 2 million units. That's the last few of them. You can see what you get. 2.1 million, 2.1 million, and this one I think was like 2.5 or 2.9 million. 2.5, which is pretty good for this size of factory. This will never stop running the processors. Keep your processors running. Don't wait for them to process things. Don't wait give your extractor a reason to let your processor stop processing. You're just doing it wrong. So this one, you can see, has a pretty sizable hotspot for the hell is this? Yeah, planktic colonies. You know, and this was you know, a single node, I guess, but it was so large and diverse that it made sense to use this, and it gave a decent yield, right? So, you know, like it was kind of actually the middle of two nodes, which is my kind of golden rule for setting up P1 factories with this style of setup. Oops, hold on, we got to balance this out a little bit. Oh, there's down to 2.4. Oh, back up to 2.5. See, that replenished while it was being harvested. Sometimes with these, I don't really care what it is because it's just a lot. There, that's almost 20,000 units at cycle 95. And you know, there is only 99 cycles. So that's like right at 48 hours. Pretty much, it's still providing enough to run these factories at full tilt with 20,000 units, and there'll be excess. As you can see, there is clearly a lot of excess. This input buffer storage is half full, so I could probably leave this for another day, and it would, you know, still have more than enough to keep it running while I didn't need to care about it, because 2-day cycles are excellent, right? If I took this and I moved this to 7 days, here, 7 days, right? I only get 4.5 million units over that, but yeah, it's cycle 83. It's still going, but you know, it's just not going to run those factories. It's going to deposit every 2 hours, and these factories need material every 30 minutes, right? You can't change this. This you can change. You should change this to exactly 2 days, 1 hour, and 30 minutes. You know, processing time. It's like renting a computer server, and then walking off to go for, you know, your lunch break for 2 hours, and the server expecting something to happen, and you fucked off and ignored it because, you know, you're irresponsible, or you've got other plans, you're lazy, whatever, right? Like you don't have to be lazy with this for it to be manageable. These will always keep running. You just provide it more. Don't provide it just enough every 2 hours. You could see, like at the end there, one cycle every 2 hours was 20,000 units. At the end of a 2-day program, one cycle with 30-minute cycles was 20,000 units, you know. So it's clearly suboptimal with longer than 48-hour programs on the extractor heads. Okay, this is the one that we did a video about before, when we did our setup tutorial video. We'll get a second look at the temperate planet, and this one was doing water. This is our water planet. So this planet apparently had program finish. So we'll just set it again. You know, and as you can see, this one still in a really good spot. And it's still pulling, you know, 2 million units. All of the extractor heads are in a good location. It's balanced. So that's done. So we're gonna take this guy and go and pick up the PI goodies. Let me see here. So only I've got to worry about is my implants on this character. So what we're going to do is just do a little Black Ops. Actually, I'll just check Intel quickly. There is really nobody around here. Oh, excuse me. Still early in the morning. I'm a little bit congested. My apologies for that. You know, it's 2 jumps. I'll take my interceptor. There we go. So we'll see, you know, just how there's a method to doing the planetary customs office unloading as well. That's beneficial. A lot of people don't understand that you don't actually need to be at the customs office to do your exporting. You can just undock from any system or any structure, any citadel, or anywhere in system, right? And just export to your customs office from the planet while you're in the system remotely ahead of time. So you don't actually have to be at the planet, at the customs office, sitting there, you know, with your pants hanging out of your ass. Which you know, will eventually get you killed. Somebody will come along, discover your ship, and murder it. Which is also why I fly cheap epithels with an afterburner on them. And an inertia stabilizer. Inertia stabilizer is just to help your the align time of that ship, because it's a little slow. She's got the fat ass, Scotty. That was some pretty poor Scottish. Pretty poor Scottish accent.
Warp drive active.
So I've also got to make some notes here about what I'm taking off of these planets, because we're working on a little project with the corporate for our industry.
Docking request accepted.
I don't keep track. I know what I need, and I make more than enough of it most of the time. If I have shortfalls later, I just, you know, adjust it. So let me see here. We'll get rid of our interceptor, and I'm going to change clones, because I don't want to be in a +5 clone doing PI. That would be silly. Let's just use a +4 clone, because, you know, Daddy Starbucks. Play this game for 10 years. Who gives a fuck if I lose a +4 clone? Maybe some people would probably cry over it. I lost my clone, and you know, well, that's cool. Cool story, bro. You know. Anyways, so we've got all of our programs reset, and now we have to pick it all up. And fortunately, this guy, I set it up all in the same system, right? And we're just gonna stop. We'll stop right here on the subcap undock, right? And PI inventory. take my inventory over here. We want to be on this tab. UI layout with this can make it like NASCAR pit stop caliber, like, you know, GTFOing, which sometimes can be necessary to do. So up here, customs office and access. You don't need to click on the icons in space. I'm going to take my biofuels. We've got really tax friendly POCOs here, customs offices for our group. So that's also benefiting our group with an incentive to do PI and participate, which is a good thing, because everybody will benefit from it. Take my precious metals. Now, notable thing to mention too is that these PI factories are definitely not full. I'm emptying these like even prematurely. I could let these run for another 3-4 days if I wanted to, and then empty them, and I'd have a pretty considerable amount. You know, like I have a buffer of like several weeks worth of materials for most of my material stockpiles, or several days, right? So we can't just drag this to here because we're not actually at the customs office. So that's Planet 5. Let's go Planet 6, which is just right here beside our Fortizar. Take our oxidizing compounds, and that didn't transfer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You gotta wait a few seconds sometimes if the server is lagging. Server's been lagging recently, the last couple of days. There, that's 1, and you can see we're having multiple launch pads. Really helps. I can access all of my storages on the planet from space using the customs office. And you know, I could be one of my factories could be camped, and all I would need to do to empty it and keep that production going, because this can be managed from anywhere in Eve once it's set up. All I need to do is be in that system, in a ship, even in my pod probably, but you know, ship would be preferable, and just do this, and you know, there we go. That's not even full. That's 1/3 full, and that's emptied 4 days of processing time for P1 resources, maybe 3 days. So always use launch pads for storage. Never use storages. You're just making it harder for yourself. Have some water. There we go. There's our water. We 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give the server time to catch up because we're being DDoSed. Not us, but the server is. All right, just had to check on something there. So we've got all of these ready. We've got our ship, we're undocked. Let's go back to the inventory tab, and we'll just knock them off one by one. We're gonna do Planet 6 last because it's right off the Fortizar. And what we're gonna do here is just go back to accessing this one first, and we'll just warp to it at 0. Time to do 5 pit stops. Intel looks good. So Planet 1 right beside the sun. You know, and usually this is another habit that I have when I'm actually filming these on a processor character that's doing P1 to P2 or P2 to P3, right? Level process materials. You know, we've got my 50,000 of each type in here, and then when I'm warping, I always have this up, always have your inventory open. But when I'm warping to it, I'll click on the planet, so that when I'm landing, I already have my inventories open and I can just click on View Planet Mode. And then I can do my transfers of resources. So there, done. And next one. Customs office, warp to 1.
Warp drive
Afterburner in 1 cycle. And we're away. Yoink. That was quick. You can't get caught if you're in warp. We're usually pretty good here. I've never been attacked on a customs office since I started doing this. Many years ago. So, but you know, we're in PvP space. So PvP will happen. But, you know, if you're not sitting there with your thumb up your ass counting stars, then you probably have less of a chance of getting attacked. But, you know, in here I was chatting again, so I didn't have my 5, 6. That's Planet 4.
Warp drive active.
So the gas planet's the one I want to do last. There we go. Oot, doot, doot, doot. So this one was Planet 4. Yeah. Click on the planet. I've got my inventories open. This is the Oceanic planet. Look at that beautiful Oceanic planet. Hi, ocean. Right. But what I didn't do was this. I'll take my biomass, please. And I didn't do that as well, apparently. I missed a planet. I haven't done my coffee yet. Right. This generally you don't want to be sitting here doing, like exporting or using your UI, distracted while you're sitting at a customs office. There's only so many customs offices in the system, and when you get found at one, you're going to die. You know. But then again, the ship that I'm using is super cheap, and that's the reason why it's super cheap.
Active.
You know, this is how you fit PI ships, because, you know, you get caught by a frigate in this, it's dead. There's no point. They're only after, you know, blowing up your cargo. Like that's 2 volleys on a cruiser, on a pretty decent cruiser. So there's no point in wasting extra ISK on fittings that are unnecessary. Keep it efficient. Hi, Temperate planet. Okay, so again, to access before you land, get some water, and we'll go back to our gas planet. We will go to the customs office.
Warp drive
1 afterburner
active.
pulse when you enter warp. Then you get into warp in like 10 or 8 seconds or something, I think it is. Is it 8? I've got max skills in this guy for afterburners. There we go. So almost 8, a little less than 8 seconds, I can get any ship into warp with an afterburner, which is pretty good for a big fat ship. We're going to take our rest of our PI materials, oxidizing compound, when we land, and we will warp to the
Warp drive
safe
active.
sino, or the safe bookmark on the Fortizar that we have. Another important thing too is always have safe bookmarks on your structures, like on the undock. Don't just use, like, click on it and, oh, I'll click on this and I'm going to dock. Well, you know what? You didn't land here. You landed out there, and you know what? Your ass is hanging in the breeze for anybody to bump you away and kill you. So congratulations if you didn't use the bookmark. There we go. Fortizar docked.
Docking request
And
accepted.
literally that's the amount of time it took me to empty this on one character in Where is it? Here, my inventory. I'll go to this guy. For some reason, I have a station warehouse here. No, I'm just going to deliver all of this stuff to my alt. There we go. And that's one character is done. So now I'm going to make some notes about this, but largely that is the contents of five planetary interaction factories and one character that processes purely tier 1 resources being emptied after what day did I upload that video? Because the day that I uploaded that video was the day that I think I finished all of these. It's probably like 4 days. So, but I'll check just to make sure that I'm being accurate. Videos. I uploaded that's 1 week ago. Was published on the 19th. So the 10 days ago? No. I must have emptied these again. This I think is probably like only 4 days worth of resources. But still, even if it's like 7 days, you know, depending on the yields, because that really dictates how often you'll have to empty them, how much you get, and how much has been processed. You know, only having to empty these once a week is really good, as long as it keeps running. You know, if you're not running those 2-day cycles, and you're emptying it once a week, you're just wasting your time. You could be doing a better job of contributing. So, but anyways, I'm going to stop this here because I don't know how long this video has gotten on, but I think we're probably up to about 30 minutes. And I don't want this to be like several hours long. This has been part of the PI Mastery series, and we'll keep you updated with some more information in the days to come. Cheers.